Hello, my name is Donna Schrader, and with Carol Trigg, we've developed a webinar called The Basics of Salary Negotiation, Set Your Sights High. So we're going to go through that today. Again, there's a lot of information that's not on the slides, so you might want to take notes. Many of you may not have had the opportunity to negotiate an entry-level salary offer because for entry-level candidates, salary may already be set and there's no room for negotiation. Others of you, especially those of you who have a lot of relevant experience and multiple job offers, may find yourselves in an excellent position to negotiate. We don't want to set up the idea that you should negotiate just to be negotiating, because employers can see through that. We are suggesting that you negotiate when you have a reason, a compelling reason. Our objective for this session is to introduce you to the critical factors that are involved in all salary negotiation. We also want to highlight and review the typical paid and unpaid benefits that come into play once you accept your offer. Many of you have probably heard employers refer to total compensation packages. That means that they are not just looking at your annual salary, but they're also considering how much your benefits are worth. Sometimes employers give you one number and it represents both. So just be aware of what total compensation means. Annual salary plus benefits. Did you know that you are negotiating all the time? Think about it. If you are a middle child, you have negotiated up to your older siblings and down to your younger ones. Practically everything you want is owned or controlled by someone else. Rarely ever does the value of something go down through negotiating. However, there are three critical factors associated with negotiating salary. They are power, information, and time. Let's take a closer look at these three critical factors. Before going into a negotiation, you must learn the real power factors. What is your power over the other side of the table? All negotiation is about power. Because there are always power imbalances in a relationship, negotiation goes on all the time. No matter what your overall approach to negotiation, you may need to consider the nature of power. Remember that the power in the relationship will influence the negotiation process. As a candidate for a position, you may not know it, but you have an awful lot of power. Negotiation requires gathering information, planning your approach, considering alternatives and viewpoints, communicating clearly and specifically, and making decisions to reach your goal. Understanding your strengths and resources, being able to respond to the needs of the other party, and knowing your competition enable you to access your bargaining position more accurately and with confidence. Timing is also important. Remember that the best time to negotiate is after a serious job offer has been made and before you have accepted it. Once you are clear about the initial offer, you can express interest and even enthusiasm, but ask for more time to consider the job offer. The key message here is not to make an impulsive decision. If they really want you there, there is time. Do your homework. Research and have facts to back up your negotiation plans before it is time to negotiate. For national economic information, utilize websites such as the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the U.S. Department of Commerce, and the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis. For more localized information, use state websites and City Chamber of Commerce sites. It is good to have both a big picture outlook and a more focused idea of a specific region or city. Important information that you want to know is whether local businesses are expanding or contracting. In addition, look at the jobless rates in that area. If you are moving to an area with your family in tow, you may have a spouse or teenagers who will also be seeking employment. This type of information is easily discerned through the business section of the local newspaper. Also, be aware, if there are only one or two large employers in that area, economic growth will be closely tied to the stability of those two employers. Look at current trends in housing prices in the areas. This type of information will give you a feel for whether the area is stable growing slowly, growing quickly, or not growing. Some local economies may be shrinking, no matter what the national economy is doing. Housing information is easy to get by going to the local Realtors Association website and other housing websites such as Zillow. One other area you will want to investigate is the demand for your specific knowledge and skills. For example, if you are an accountant who wants to work for a large company, you will probably not be seeking positions in a rural region. If you choose to locate in an area that does not have a high demand for your knowledge, skills, and education, you may find yourself underemployed and definitely making less than you could in other regions. You will want to gather as much information as possible about the prospective employer. Investigating the prospective employer should be done before, during, and after the application process and prior to interviewing. Don't wait until you are offered a job to discover that the company's profitability is unhealthy. With publicly traded companies, it is very easy to get information. You can look at their annual reports for 3 to 5 previous years. You can also look up information by utilizing Vault Career Intelligence through the University Career Center website. Vault has gathered lots of information into one place, and it's easy to access and utilize this data. Follow the instructions on our website to log into Vault. For privately held companies, it will be much more difficult to gather information. Look for press releases about the company, or you might want to utilize LinkedIn to identify people who work for the company that you can connect with and ask for information. Or utilize your own network to identify people who are knowledgeable and can provide current information about the economic state of that company. It is also important to know where the company is in the business cycle. Is it a startup, growing, stable, in need of a turnaround? Knowing this information is very important to the negotiation process. Companies in need of a turnaround may desperately need your education, skills, and knowledge, but will they have the money to pay you what you're worth? Are you willing to take a risk on a company that is not as stable as others? Startups may be more risky than an established company that needs a change in management or reorganization. Earlier in the webinar, we mentioned that time was a critical factor in the negotiating process. Consider the hiring manager and his or her needs. How quickly does he or she need to fill the position? What kind of authority does the person involved in the negotiation have? Think of it like this. You are going in to buy a new car. The salesman draws up the contract and hands it over to you to sign. You look at it and say the price of the car is too high and you are only willing to spend a certain amount of money. The salesman then has to go back to his manager and gain approval for the new price. The salesman was not in the decision-making role. Now back to our situation. You want to be sure to find out if the person you have established the relationship with is the person who can make decisions in the negotiation process, or do they have to get permission from someone else? The negotiation process will certainly take more time, so know your time window as well as theirs. If you've done your research, you know whether your request is viable or not. Consider the size and health of the company. Have they been laying off people recently? Are they a startup? Or are there plenty of applicants out there with your same skills who would gladly fill the position at the rate offered? In order to make a case for your salary goal during negotiations, you will need to highlight your skills and knowledge that will have a positive impact and contribution to the prospective employer. There are many factors that impact your decision in accepting or rejecting a job offer. First, there may be more opportunity for growth, education, and upward movement in one company than another. Second, there may be additional benefits that outweigh the lower salary. These factors must be analyzed in order to make an appropriate decision. As an example of data you need to gather and analyze, think about the number of opportunities or job offers you have. If you've been looking for a job for several months and have utilized the University Career Center to polish your resume and interviewing skills, you should have multiple interviews. But if you are in a narrow niche market or in an area with limited opportunities, you may not have as many opportunities, and you will need to keep that in mind during negotiations. Emphasize your technical expertise, unique knowledge, and skill set. Know the level of competition for the job. Of course, you are the best candidate, the most knowledgeable, but you must know how to present that information to position yourself ahead of the competition. It is good to have an idea of the number of candidates for a position. Are there hundreds of qualified candidates applying for the position, or are there 5 candidates? This information is really important, and you may not know exactly, but you can make an informed guess as to the number of job candidates based on the geographic location and local and state economic factors. Let's discuss some additional applicant factors you must consider during the negotiation process. Do you have the resources, the financial depth, to negotiate for weeks or months before beginning work? Most of us do not have those resources, and students graduating from universities probably have fewer financial resources than candidates who are a few years into their careers. Do you have a network that is deep enough and broad enough to help you? This is where networking events, conferences, and professional media networks such as LinkedIn can help you. But you must develop relationships, not just ask for job search help and never return the favor. People need to feel that you are helping others, but they do not want to feel that they are being taken advantage of. Think in terms of risks that accompany the job offer. Will the job require relocating? Is the company stable? Is this offer an opportunity for growth in your career, or will it be a dead end? Specific answers to these questions may not be easy to find, but you will be able to take the information you have gathered and make informed decisions. For example, you know the overall outlook for the company and the region. You know if the company is one that your peers and colleagues would like to work for. That leads you to understand that there will be many qualified candidates. A good solid overview of the company, city, and state can be found through newspaper articles, press releases, and the online resources previously mentioned. We've all heard that getting a job is a numbers game. The more jobs applied for, the more interviews leading to more offers. So having lots of options, multiple job offers, starts months before you are in a position to negotiate salary. But if you have done that part of the process correctly, you will have more than one offer. Know your worth and be able to articulate that information to the hiring manager. You must be confident, but not cocky. Be absolutely professional in all your dealings with every company and every representative of the company, from the parking lot attendant to the CEO. When talking about money, keep a few cards up your sleeve. You are in a better position to negotiate when you have other offers. You are not required to tell the employer that you are entertaining other offers, but if they ask, feel free to tell them. Here are some things to remember. First, when you present information regarding the research you've done on your market value, you do not have to cite specifically where you got the information. Second, it is imperative that you know how to sell yourself and cite your uniqueness. You must tell the interviewer how you differ from other candidates. Third, create a negotiating vocabulary and practice it frequently. Here are some samples to get comfortable with. Does that seem acceptable to you? Would it be possible if? May I offer an alternative? I understand where you're coming from, however. I am afraid I had something different in mind. I will have to get back to you. Remember, earlier in the webinar, we mentioned the concept of total compensation packages and what that means. Now we'll give you an overview of the benefits part and who is responsible for them financially. Salary and benefits may not be as scary or thrilling, depending on your outlook, as a roller coaster ride, but it can have long-term effects on your career. There are legally required benefits that must be offered by most employers. These include the employer part of Social Security and Medicare taxes. The employee and the employer are both paying these taxes. Federal and state unemployment insurance and workers' compensation is paid by the employer. Overtime pay is paid by the employer. Short-term disability may be paid by both the employer and the employee depending on the benefit offered. If you request it, the employer is legally required to provide you 2 hours of time off to vote. When you are offered the benefits package, read over all the information with a critical eye. Is it valid information for the region, the company, the economic base of the state? Remember how large Texas is? All the areas of Texas can be very different economically, depending on current events. For example, some areas are in a cyclical boom and bust because of the oil industry and events taking place half a world away. Many companies observe federal holidays such as Martin Luther King Jr. Day or the 4th of July. Depending on the organization or the industry, these holidays may not be observed, or the employee must arrange time off for these holidays. Currently, many companies have combined vacation and sick leave into one entity, usually known as paid time off or PTO. However, you may encounter organizations that provide both sick leave and vacation time. These benefits may be calculated into your base salary, so be sure that you understand exactly what is included in the base salary. You may have the ability to negotiate the number of days of vacation earned, or to begin the job with a number of vacation days already allotted to you. You might need to negotiate the first opportunity to take vacation time. Many companies set vacation so that you must be in the job for 6 months or a year before you can take vacation. In addition, many companies provide bereavement leave, jury duty leave, and military leave. For the past few years, health insurance and who is responsible for paying it has become a political issue. Traditionally, employers have offered health insurance as a social benefit. If you have a family or spouse, you may have to pay extra to have them covered by health insurance. The list on the slide can serve as a representation of the benefits that are included as social benefits, including health insurance, dental insurance, long-term care disability insurance, vision care insurance, life insurance, short-term disability insurance, child care subsidies or facilities, elder care subsidies or facilities, employee assistance programs, and additional assistance reimbursement. Employers will vary as to how many of the benefits on this list they are responsible for, depending on the size of the company. Most employers provide short-term disability insurance, but you probably will have to pay a portion of the cost. The partial cost to the employee applies to many of the benefits on the list. Educational assistance reimbursement will be 100% employer paid. However, you will be required to earn A's and B's. Employers will not reimburse employees for C's. Incentives are used by many employers to entice you to accept their job offer. In addition to the incentives listed on this slide, organizations might offer bonus or incentive pay, educational programs, and perks such as country club memberships, a company car, or gym memberships. One of the biggest takeaways we always want you to get from this webinar is that salary negotiation should not depend on short-term goals. You also need to think and plan in terms of your long-term goals. Pension plans are much less available in today's economic climate, but 401k plans and 403b plans are readily available, and many companies will match a percentage of the employee's 401k contribution. Other benefits for your future financial security include profit-sharing plans, employee stock ownership plans, deferred compensation plans, and stock option plans. If companies have these types of benefits, they will be selling points that are used to keep you interested and help sell their company to you. But if you do not hear this information during the job offer portion of the interview, be sure to ask. Also, if these options are not mentioned, feel free to ask about the possibility. If a company is working to hire and keep the best qualified candidates, they might consider offering additional benefits It never hurts to ask, politely, professionally, and respectfully. Throughout this webinar, we discussed critical factors involved in negotiating salary and benefits during the job search process. We also highlighted typical benefits and discussed who pays for each. We discussed the information you will need to gather in order to make an informed decision during the salary and benefit negotiation process. This data includes company stability, current and future economic climates, regional factors, and the worth of your education, skills, and experience. Here's a map of where the Career Center is located on campus. But as distance students, you know that you have access to all of the services that we have. We can work with you by phone, by Skype, and by email. So also we have wonderful services on our website. So please take advantage of those. You can call to make an appointment of any type at 806-742-2210. Thank you.